So this is like from a work in progress, and if I get lost, it's because these are my notes that I just wrote all over it. And it's about a lot of things, as you'll see. And the working title right now is God, a Kind of Longing, a Selfish Girl, Origin Story. 1. Origin of the universe, according to the Kabbalists, with details borrowed from the film version of Grease starring Olivia Newton-John. In the beginning, there was only God. In every direction, God. Up, God. Left, God. South, God. Forward and backward, God. Due to the complete everythingness of God, even these directions were God. As you can imagine, God got bored. God said to God's self, I could really dig a trip to the soda fountain. My gal pal Heather and I can share a large malted milk and talk about which cute boy will ask us to go steady at homecoming. And why not? God could do what God pleased. No curfew, no principal with a bad mustache to get on God's case. So God aquanetted God's traffic cone orange perm, shaved, smacked God's lips at the God mirror. But when God got to the soda fountain, God found only God. 2 God straws in a big frothy glass of God, and only God slumped waiting at the God counter. You again? Asked God dejectedly. This wasn't God's first disappointment. Because all time was God and therefore eternal, we can say that to be God was to exist in a state of soda fountain letdown, hamburger unhappiness, sock hop misery. God cried out, I want a BFF. I want to comb each other's perms, sway to Ace of Base in a CK1 cloud, stay up late watching our summer camp memories on VHS. To create the universe, God withdrew, leaving a God-shaped absence. I swear all of this is in the Kabbalist version of the creation. To create the universe, God withdrew, leaving a God-shaped absence. Into that absence, God launched vessels of divine light. The vessels broke under the pressure of holiness, and bits of light spilled into the world, populating its dark frigidity with points of heat. From the heat grew cave paintings, rubber-soled sneakers, and a near infinite supply of best friends named Heather. God pressed God's self away from the Heathers, further every moment, enlarging the void, making more space for Heather and for aluminum jacks, plastic beach coolers, pocket lint, etc., to swell into, pregnant with Heather's own possibility. When Heather threw her first sleepover party, she sent invitations to the 3rd grade girls, but did not include God. Real love, reflected God, happens in silence and with a lot of personal space. 2, really consider that. Quote, we can then think of our entire universe as a kind of whole in God, end quote. 3, an early memory. It's late spring in Michigan, the kind of day that starts cold but turns warm enough for short sleeves by noon. The thick grass pelt has forgotten last week's ice storm, last month's blizzard. My mother has taken me to a park that runs along the gray-green Huron River. She is 43 years old, unhappily married. I am 5, pressurized with anxiety, distrustful of strangers. My mother sits on a bench while I fling crusts down to ducks who peck stupidly at the mud, grass, Pepsi cans, everywhere but the bread. I'm feeling angry about this, about my wasted crusts and how the ducks won't let me stroke their glistening, unintelligent heads or their plastic whistle-looking beaks, when a man and woman approach. I shrink back, clenching my bread into a ball in case they mean to take it from me. Hi, coos the woman. I want to ask you a question. She has the excited eyes that bug out of her head. Her boyfriend beams with crooked happiness. They remind me of two actors on my favorite show, which stars a mannequin, a cat, and some puppets. I am no longer afraid they will take my bread. What are you? Says the woman. 4, another memory. 1st grade at my mostly white Waldorf school, a kid calls me black. I'm not black, I protest, alarmed and confused. Am I black? Another kid says, she's white. Then there is a circle pressing in between the desks, arguing about whether I'm black or white. I'm at the center, an object, a reference point. No one addresses the question to me. In the car, this day or another, my mother has the rough tone that means she's about to shout. Tell them you're Eastern European Jewish. I try to figure out without looking why she's so angry. 5. A final memory. I've switched to the neighborhood school where my class contains a number of actual black kids and other kids who I'm not sure if they're white. Our teacher, Mrs. Glaze, calls herself and the black kids Afro-American. I am decidedly not Afro-American. There's a girl there who looks like me. Black hair, olive skin, arching nose too big for a kid's face. She says because she's Arabic and I'm Eastern European Jewish, we're both Semites, and that makes us like cousins. We're the same race, she says. We decide to become best friends. At home, I explain to my mother. She says Arabic's a language. She's probably from that family that lives in the mansion on Yost. I remember the giant house with its unfinished metallic sides that always seems to be getting bigger. They don't like Jews, she adds, a fact which she has also told me about African Americans. The next day, my new best friend must have talked to her parents too, because we don't look at each other. For the rest of 2nd grade, we are enemies. Then, like everything else about the neighborhood school, she disappears. 6. How Stephen Hawking understands the origin of the universe. This is a quote. The problem of what happens at the beginning, oh, by the way, Stephen Hawking is actually really funny. He's just funny. The problem of what happens at the beginning of time is a bit like the question of what happened at the edge of the world when people thought the world was flat. Is the world a flat plate with the sea pouring over the edge? I have tested this experimentally. I have been around the world and I have not fallen off. Time, however, seemed to be different. Einstein's general theory of relativity unified time and space as space-time, but time was still different from space and was like a corridor, which either had a beginning and end or went on forever. Jim Hartle and I realized that time can behave like another direction in space under extreme conditions. This means one can get rid of the problem of time having a beginning in a similar way in which we got rid of the edge of the world. 7. How I understand the origin of the universe. A fist going numb, darkness and pressure. 8. What happens next? 8.
Come on in.
What happens next? Expansion, air blowing into a balloon, time tearing wide, screeching out in all directions, time, becoming the minutes and seconds and hours and years that only begin to mean a thing when God's divine vessels shatter into stars that turn around planets, and one of these planets is Earth, and 100 million Heathers simultaneously hold watches to ears to listen to that slender hand tick. Am I doing okay?
Oh, you're fine.
Okay. 9. On density. There's a girl friendship that makes the body throb, a contact high of girlness, whispering in each other's ears, the floral thickness of girl smell, the softness of hands. The contraband space between two girls, the illegality of girl secrets. Two girls together smuggle, pilfer, become feral, lose their names. God went to the mall with God's mother to purchase a best friend's necklace. Is what I'm talking about, right? The gold heart die cut in jagged halves, each with its own chain. God took the free, saving the ends for Heather. Did God expect too much of Heather? These are rabbinic questions. Unfair, impossible reciprocation. Love of a mass so large it would collapse under its own weight. The free was clearly the better necklace. It implied beginnings and therefore power. God fingered its sharp edges and felt ashamed. God was a selfish girl.